Do you like movies, comic books, science fiction, and more? Then you come to the right place. This is the Rebel Radio Podcast. You can find us at therebelradiopodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Rebel Radio Podcast Hotshot. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
This is featured co-host who's bald.
Why you got to bring pre-show on the show, man?
You said disgruntled cop from the bomb squad wrong. That's what I was expecting.
I mean, why? Man, why you got to bring the pre-show? Bring the pre-show into the show, man.
Man.
It's late on Saturday night.
Every week, I'm like,
I've been drinking.
Say he is, yeah.
You know, and yeah, man, I fuck up with my mojo, man. That was last week's show.
Man,
fucking with Austin's mojo.
You took his mojo.
I have a strangely quiet house. The kids spent the night with my brother and his kids, so it's like, you know, I'm trying to get in the vibe here, and long as just gotta bam, bring that shit down. Not cool.
Flick you in the balls.
You were brought down. I was enjoying it.
Well, like many bedroom experiences, at least one person was enjoying it.
All right, let's redo this.
Bada boom. Okay, it's been. Oh, by the way, before as we did a little chit chat at the beginning of the show, Matt. I just said fuck you to Long. Guess what? Fuck you, man. You jinxed it last week, bitch. Oh, man, we're almost out of hurricane season. What the fuck all of a sudden forms within 24 hours of the Gulf and hits part of Houston? Now, luckily, where we live on this side of town, it wasn't too bad for us, but there are some people out there. So a fucking storm decides to blow in that Tuesday after last week's episode. That's your fault, Matt. Fucking totally.
Yeah. Fucked up Lamarck and Texas City and Galveston a little bit. But we were
anybody call Matt, email him. Blame him. It's his fault that shit happened. But, Hurricane Nicholas came through Houston. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't too bad for us. Just some rain. But, the shitty shuts down. They canceled, practices and schools and trucks running and everything else. And so it put everything a day backwards. And to me, this week felt like 2 weeks into one. I'm sure it kind of felt like that, y'all, too, with the weird scheduling. And, So I was kind of excited to record last night because I was like, man, I really need to just let loose. And then Long had a family issue to take care of. So we pushed it back to Saturday night, and it's a little late at night, but that's okay. I'm here. We are here. And that's all that matters. And how are you guys doing? Did y'all weather the storm?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
slept through it mostly.
I got an extra night off because our trucks can't run if the winds are over 35 miles an hour. So I got lucky.
Yeah, you don't want Coca-Cola blowing all over the roads.
No.
That would not
Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't I guess, we dodged a proverbial bullet, so to speak. It just seems like every year now, growing up, there were hurricanes every now and then, but I don't remember every year. It seems like we're prepping for one and people are freaking out and they're emptying the grocery stores. And it's just like, climate change is real, people, I guess. Because it sure seems like we're having a fucking storm come every year. So,
yeah. I kind of want to move to Dallas now.
Don't say that. Dallas is worse, though.
Isn't Dallas?
I can't live amongst Cowboy fans.
Oh, true.
I can't do that. Yeah,
you got to deal with people.
I used to live in Dallas before I moved down to Houston.
I'm sorry.
It was not that bad.
I hate that city. I'd move to Austin or something before I ever thought about moving to Dallas.
Of course you would.
Well, it's because my sister's there. It would make sense.
If I had to choose another city, it'd be San Antonio.
That's because you're Mexican.
I'd rather move back to Washington State where there's like seasonal weather instead of just mild, hot, and mild again. I
got a thing that's called an ex-wife there. I have no desire to go there. But if you see her, you bonk her on the head.
Well, I moved there first, so it's my state, not hers.
You're like, it's mine. I claimed it.
That's my logic.
Yeah. Fucking psycho. Anyway, did I just say that? Yeah, well, anyway, that's the week. Storm, lovely weather. It was a little bit cooler. That was nice. I enjoyed that. So that was good. Yeah. All right.
Cool,
well, let's officially get into today's show. Download this where we tell people we watched, streamed, checked out, played this week. I guess as I told you guys pre-show, I stayed up and watched the movie last night. And it's definitely one of those movies that I just decided to watch because I was bored. And it's on Netflix. And it's stars the wonderful Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And it's called Kate, where she plays an assassin who it's not anything you ever seen before in an assassin movie. You know, she wants out, one last job. She's tired of doing it. But on this last job, she gets poisoned, and she has 24 hours to figure out who does it to her before she dies. And it's not terrible. It's entertaining for 2 hours. Like I said, it doesn't break any new ground. But there was a nice twist where there's almost a climax an hour into the film, and you think, okay, that's it. And it gives you a twist. There's like a whole other climax in the last 40 minutes of the movie. So I thought that was kind of an interesting form of storytelling, doing the twist kind of in the middle of the movie. And it's not like one of those twists that's going to blow your mind. You're going to fucking figure it out. You're like, okay, I'm not surprised that's the twist. But it works for the plot of the film. And Weinstein, she's excellent in the movie. And that's what makes the movie work, I think, is her in the film. And so if you're bored for a couple hours and want to watch a pretty decent action flick, I mean, it's got some really good action sequences in it, right up there with the John Wick films and things like that. So some good modern action film. And
no shaky cam or...
No, it's well shot. It is a little dark. It is a little dark in parts. That might be the only beef on it. It's shot at nighttime a lot, but overall, yeah, no shaky cam. It's a well shot film, and so you want to blow off a couple hours, check out Kate. It was pretty entertaining. That's really all I've really watched this week. I did watch a couple more episodes of the Harley Quinn cartoon, and I think another episode of Titans. That's about it. So I'm getting into the second season of Titans now, and it's still really good. I'm really liking that show. Glad I watched it. And yeah, that's about it. So check out Kate on Netflix if you're bored for a couple hours.
Cool. I watched What If, the last episode of What If, and it's basically what if Killmonger saved Tony Stark and he never got captured by the 10 rings and became Iron Man. It's an interesting concept. I think it's, I don't know. I guess people are really excited about the zombie episode that happened a week prior, and they're talking about trying to get a movie started for the Marvel Avengers zombie.
Well,
but
I've heard about What If. People seem to really like the zombie episode, but I heard the whole what if so-and-so did not become this person and this happened is starting to get old. It seems like there's 4 episodes where that's happened now. Like what if Peggy Carter became Captain America, so to speak, and what if T'Challa became Star-Lord, and people are saying, okay, it's already played its weight.
Yeah, I think so. It's like, okay, it's cool revisiting parts in the universe, but I think it's, probably ran its course, like you said. Just, I was like, oh, there's another episode. I guess I'll watch it. But yeah, that and I watched another movie on Netflix, and I was going to watch Kate. Thought about watching Kate, but instead I watched Gunpowder Milkshake, and it's with Karen Gillan. Of course, she plays. Crap. Why can't I think of her name right now? Thanos' daughter, not Gamora.
She played Nebula.
Yeah, Nebula. Yep. And it's got Lena Headey in it, which is King Leonidas' wife in 300. She's in it. And, of course, Paul Giamatti and Michelle Yeoh is in it. It's about a hit woman, and she goes to do this job. She's supposed to collect some money that was stolen from their firm, their hitman firm, whatever. And the guy stole it so he could buy his daughter back. So she's like, all right, I'm going to go save your daughter because her mom left her when she was a kid. She got this, mom background that's kind of touchy. And she goes to save the daughter. In the process, the money gets destroyed. and now she's being hunted because they want blood for the money that she lost, and she's got to fight everybody. It's not bad. Kind of loses the plot a little bit. The action's okay.
I thought about watching it, and I read the same thing I read. I read that it's a little too over the top, and then it loses itself about halfway through.
Yeah. It starts off pretty strong. Halfway through, you're like, okay, where are we going? And then it kind of comes back around at the end, but it's okay. It's not a horrible watch. It's a C-, kind of thing. Kate's probably better. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Kate. So I'll probably watch
Mark,
that.
how would you score Kate?
You're a pretty solid B+. It's not quite John Wick assassin movies level, but it's solidly entertaining. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I guess I'm addicted to MMO gaming because I sound like a broken record, but yeah, Final Fantasy 14. And,
I play Star Wars Galaxies every day, but I never mention on the show, so you're all right.
Yeah, it's my means of escaping my current existential crisis of work. So, yeah.
Hey, put us all down.
It's the one thing that's keeping me from getting a noose. So
sounds like you need another vacation long.
Yeah, I do. Actually, you mentioned that. I do have a nice week-long vacation coming up in the first week of November. I'll be flying to my brother's to North Carolina just for a couple of days, and he's going to spoil me with his girlfriend's sushi. So
there you go.
And she's the part owner of a sushi restaurant. So it's like, okay.
You're going on vacation then when I get back from vacation. I'm going the week before, week leading into Halloween. So
same here.
One of these we'll have our vacations lined up. One of these days.
Days.
We still have to do our Austin trip one day. But god dang COVID. But
yeah.
Maybe soonish. We're all vaccinated now, so we can maybe think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it. Other than that, yeah, there's some stuff coming up. I'm gonna try to go see James Bond here in a couple weeks when it comes out. And I think I want to see that in the theater. Heard it's almost 2.5 hours long.
It's the longest Bond movie.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to that. So some stuff coming up on Download This to watch and talk about on the show. Well, I guess let's get into today's featured film then. A extremely popular movie from 1994 and starring. Keanu Reeves was already a star at the time. He had come off Bill and Ted and Point Break and was pretty relatively known star, but it stars a young lady that was not known at the time, and this turned her into a star in the Sandra Bullock and the late great Dennis Hopper in 1994's Speed. And Long, I feel like you should summarize this. I don't know why. It just feels like a long summary to me. No pun intended.
Okay.
I'm putting you on the spot, man. That's
okay. That's what I get for being a generic co-host intro earlier.
Right.
So, anyways, movie stars Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, and basic premise is Jack Travers is trying to save a bus from exploding that's full of people, and if it falls below 50 miles per hour, the bus will explode, and he has to try to keep the bus's momentum going while at the same time trying to outwit Dennis Hopper's character. It's a nice little cat and mouse movie, and very, very smartly done movie. But that's the basic premise. I can't really go any further.
No.
It's Die Hard on a bus, baby. Die Hard on a bus.
Well, Die Hard a bus with a twist because there's no terrorist holding people hostage. It's just one guy. But you're right. It is in that the pre-1990 there were a lot of terrorist movies made. Die Hard in a bus, Die Hard on a boat, Die Hard in a hockey arena. Certain things like that, and they were a lot of them were hit or miss, and but some of them were really big hits. And Speed definitely hits on way more levels than most of those Die Hard clones, so to speak. Because this is amongst the very best of those clones. And it's a really exciting movie. I remember seeing this in theaters, man, when it came out, and just feeling the tension in the theater. It's one of those movies that you forgive its cheesiness to it in parts because of the solidity of the tension of the film. And it starts out with tension at the beginning of the movie where they try to stop the bomb in the elevator from falling, and then of course it ends up on the bus, as you were saying, the summary long. But I think that's what my initial thoughts on Speed when I first saw it, 20 something years ago, almost 25 years ago, that it was just this tight, tense thriller that is really super exciting to watch, and it does exactly what a film should do. It thoroughly entertains you for 2 hours.
Yep, the whole time. I would say it just doesn't let its foot off the pedal, pun intended.
See, and I was purposely avoiding the bad puns, but Matt just shoves it right out there.
Boom, right in the yeah, because Sandra Bullock couldn't take her foot off the pedal. Because
I got it, Matt. It's okay if Long didn't.
Yeah,
I'm not feeding the troll, Mark.
he's gonna clip my wings every time.
Yeah,
but man, this and the soundtrack to this movie, I just feel like dun 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 dun. It's just freaking awesome, man. I feel like it should be a part of a Nintendo game, like an 8-bit Nintendo game, and they should have some 8-bit tunes going to that. Just, man, it just sounds awesome, man. I could listen to that while I'm just, lawn mowing the yard or something, but it's, man, it just, like you said, Mark, keeps you engaged the entire time, and kind of cheesy, like you said, but man, it just works so well. Keanu's good. Jack's good. Jeff Daniels is good as his, as this little sidekick, and I like his gut feeling
or mentor.
Yeah, mentor. That's probably better. That's a better term for it.
Yeah,
and I just like his gut feeling, that stuff that he has the whole movie, and the whole take the hostage out of the equation, and then he at the end, he can't take the hostage out of the situation because it's Sandra Bullock, and he's like, "Whoa, she's hot," can't just shoot her.
She's so adorable in this movie as Annie.
Mm-hmm. She's like tough. She's also scared.
Well, she almost instantly became America's sweetheart overnight because of this film. Yeah. I mean, people just fell in love with her. They felt like this was, there were talks where people felt like it was a real story and Jack was really protecting Annie. And even though these are fictional characters, people just fell in love with these characters that much. And it shows on screen. And you've got a great villain in Dennis Hopper, who's always a screen stealer. One of our very best actors we ever had. And he's calm, cool, and collective, but downright fucking evil in this movie. And he plays a villain to its absolute T, and he's fantastic. And that's no knock on Jack or Keanu and Sandra, because they're great as Jack and Annie as well. And fantastic direction by Jan de Bont. He gives you attention the way he shoots these scenes, and it's really exciting. And even some of the cheesiness, like jumping a bus, it's fucking absolutely ridiculous, but you buy into it in the movie. You're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. I guess you can tell a little bit that Joss Whedon put in that cheesiness into this film, uncredited cheesiness.
Right. Mm-hmm. But some of the cheesiness in this movie, though, like the little jokes and stuff, kind of work. Gives a little bit of lightheartedness to this very tense situation, and I think that's what this movie set out to do. Though, it's set out to be entertaining. It knows it kind of is self-aware that it's a ridiculous premise, But it pulls it off in such a way because through the acting and the direction of the director that you buy into the tension. So when they jump the bus and they do ridiculous things, you're like, okay, that's cool, because you're along for the ride. To use another bad pun for this movie, you literally are along for the ride with these characters. Long, when did you first see this movie? In theaters years ago?
No, this week actually.
You had never seen Speed?
No.
Wow. Seriously.
Yeah, I've always caught it bits and pieces, And
I watched this when I was little.
It was just like one of those movies that are like, I'll watch it whenever I get to it, type of thing. And it's like one of those movies that I'm like, yeah, I know the premise. I've always seen the ending, and I've never really yeah, it's just a weird history between me and this movie. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But it kind of ruined the experience for me since I've caught the last bits of it. But watching it from
Mhm.
beginning to end this time, it's very tightly edited. I appreciate the twists, small twists and turns, and them just trying to outright outsmart each other.
Mhm.
And yeah, I like it.
Well,
I like it.
like you said about the twists and turns, I went back and was looking at the trailers for this film. They did a great job of selling this movie as a bomb on a bus movie. The whole last 20-minute bit that takes place in the subway, they didn't spoil the trailers at all. And I even remember when I saw this originally, like, oh, this is cool. There's like a whole other part to this movie. You think that you defeated the bad guy, and not quite. Because he captures Annie, and when he still wants the money, and it's so it's kind of a nice twist at the end there. Those last 20 minutes that weren't spoiled whenever they were advertising this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciate. It just reminds me of the way George Miller shoots road action sequences too.
Mhm.
Oh
They
yeah.
kept the action in the center, and they didn't deviate at all with any kind of camera cheats or anything. It's just like everything is just easy to follow.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's what really impressed me, and practical effects as well.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that.
Mhm. Yeah, they well, I was reading to where they basically shut down a few miles of freeway, and they basically just kept shooting of those 2 miles. They would move the bus backwards and shoot, move the bus backwards and shoot, do standing sequences and moving bus sequences. And then they would just use some different background changes to make it look like the bus was going further along the freeways and everything. So interesting way of shooting.
They were going to CGI that subway cart scene at the end, but they needed more money to get practical effects. I guess do practical effects and make it look a little bit more real. And so they introduced it to test audiences, and test audience loved it. They were basically out of money, and the studio greenlit more funds so that they could, go ahead and make it look realistic. Otherwise we would have gotten this computer generated bull crap at the end. It would have just ruined the whole film. Just like you've got all this buildup, and then like freaking 16-bit graphics, maybe 32-bit at that time, 94. I think PlayStation 2 had come out at that time, huh? 94.
Yeah,
95.
yeah.
It's one of those. It was right there in
It
the
might even be
mid-90s.
PlayStation. Yeah, it's hard to remember when PlayStation 2 came out.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, I remember back in high school when I first saw Sandra Bullock. It's like I had the biggest crush on her.
yes. And then she went on to do The Net, and then it's like people wanted to watch The Net with Sandra Bullock. That movie didn't really hold up. I mean, she was in it, and then she was in Murder by Numbers. That was decent. But man, she's still got it, man. I mean, I think I watched The Proposal, because she was in it,
And she doesn't live that far from us.
Really?
She's a Houston area resident.
Oh, cool.
She lives in one of these little small towns just right outside of Houston.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, she's a Houston area resident. She's not one of those Hollywood types that lives in Hollywood. She lives right here close to us.
That would make
And
sense.
she used to be seen quite often, like at the Galleria and those areas, going shopping. People would see her. So yeah, she's a local in a way. So yeah. They actually shot the bus scene twice, which I thought was interesting. But it landed right the first time, so they ended up using the first footage, even though they shot it a second time. And the bridge was not actually gone; that was all CGI'd out. So, So they cheated us on that, man. They didn't really jump a bus; they made it look like they jumped a bus with a fake bridge. I feel kind of cheated now. It's like, damn it, I thought they really did that.
Darn it.
But that's a cool sequence, though, man. Like, it's funny when you watch it now, you see it, you're like, no, this isn't even possible. You can see the gap in the bridge. You see there's no way you're going to get this momentum going.
There's no ramp.
There's no ramp.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden there's like an explosion type ramp that appears in the film, and it's like, That's kind of strange. Where did that come from? And it shoots the bus up and over. Then there's this long sequence where the bus is flying through the air, and it's like, oh yeah, it's but it predates the ridiculousness of your Matt's Fast and the Furious movie, so that's for sure. But it's fun because it's it's Keanu Reeves saving the world, or in this case, an LA bus. Is it LA the sixth place? Yeah, it's Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and of course it turns out that you look back on this now, and Dennis Hopper plays a disgruntled cop who was let go from the force, and he's mad at the police department. That's why he wants revenge on him, and that seems like such a cliche plot line now, But
no, he didn't. He wasn't let go. He retired because a bomb blew off. He lost a finger.
Yeah, that's right.
And all he got was a cheesy watch, and he feels like he earned this. He feels like he's entitled, and he even mentions. I like that he mentions, I wish there was some higher purpose, but I'm afraid it's just the money. So I'm glad that he acknowledges that, it's kind of a vanilla kind of thing. It's the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like that, he used the watch, his retirement watch, and that's how they found out that he was a cop. It's like, lost a finger, or they said finger count 9. Whenever they pulled up his record. So
they didn't have any former co-workers.
For real, man. You figure they would...
you figure a fraternity of police officers would know who he is,
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that kind of bugged me,
It's like, how did no one know?
They hang around each other after work, and they forgot about this guy, the bomb squad guy.
They said he retired in 89 in the movie. And this is 94. So it's like, it's not like 20 years ago, it's just recent. So, and his uniform was still nice and pressed. I'm guessing he used his uniform at the end whenever he's like, oh yeah, Jack sent me to come get you. Yeah. Come with me. Put on this vest. Yeah.
Are you from the 40s?
Yeah. See? Man, it would have been so much different had they actually casted Jack Nicholson or who was it? Tommy Lee Jones? Was it Tommy Lee Jones as it was the other?
I don't know. I know the studio didn't want Keanu Reeves because they felt that he wasn't a big enough star. And Jan de Bont was like, well, Point Break was a hit. And 20th Century Fox just didn't care. But de Bont stuck to his guns. He says, well, I'm not going to make the movie if you don't let me cast Keanu. So they basically gave in at that point and said, okay, because they didn't want to lose de Bont as director. Because they had already spent some money on rewriting the script and everything. And Keanu initially turned the film down until they rewrote the script because he felt it was too much like a Die Hard movie. Mm-hmm. And so at the end, 20th Century Fox should trust their directors and their writers, and because it worked and it made a lot of money for them. Go ahead.
Didn't they want like Arnold or Bruce Willis for this film or something?
I would imagine, being a 90s film, that there was probably every major star was probably looked at one point. Yeah. I would imagine whether it's Arnold or Bruce or Stallone or even Van Damme or any of those guys that were popular in the 90s.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies they probably all read for the role or were considered, because we've done a lot of these 90s flicks before, and you look through the list, I'm like, an actor of who's who is on that list, Kurt Russell, who knows what might have been on that list. But Kurt Russell had a similar bad guy movie around this time. You ever seen Breakdown, where his wife gets kidnapped and he has to go after the bad? That's such a good movie.
Yeah, they think he has like a bunch of money, but he's just like kind of like talking about a lottery ticket. But they think that he says that he won that much money.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're going to hold your wife hostage. And he has to pull everything he has out of the bank and put it in $1 bills. Try and fake it.
Yeah, this movie was a huge hit for 20th Century Fox, and enough to make a sequel. But at that point, the sequel took a while to get developed, and Keanu had no interest. He felt that it didn't make sense. The whole idea was like, they were going to be on their honeymoon, him and Annie together, when the boat happens or whatever happened in part 2. Yeah. They reworked the film with Jason Patrick, and somehow they talked Sandra Bullock to come back for the second one, even though it's a terrible, terrible movie. It doesn't even hold up.
That's funny you mentioned that. I watched that movie from beginning to end. I saw the freaking sequel before I saw the actual movie that inspired it. And that's probably a reason why I never watched the first movie. And it's like, oh my God, the second movie's so annoying. Sandra
that's
Bullock's
why.
character is so annoying in this movie. Why would I want to watch that again?
3.9 out of 10 from IMDb.
Yeah, it's just not good. But I'm still a little bit shocked that Long had never seen this before till this week. I didn't know it was going to be a first time watch for you. Otherwise,
I enjoyed it.
I would have asked your reaction first,
That's okay.
But
it's not a proud moment for me.
No, this is an older movie that most people have seen, so it is a rare thing to have not seen Speed yet. But I enjoy it, man. It's a good film. Watched it, several times over the years, and it's always a fun watch. And one of the definitely one amongst the best of the terrorist clone movies. And like I said, I don't know. I don't feel when I feel Die Hard in a movie, I feel like terrorists taking something over. Where this time it's not really a terrorist, it's just a guy who's pissed off, and like Jan de Bont said, he wanted the villain to just be someone who snapped, not necessarily have a clear motive. Just he's pissed off and he wants to fuck some shit up, and that's what Dennis Hopper does in this movie. And so I don't feel it's as much of a Die Hard clone as some of these other films. I think it stands on its own as a solid action film that's a lot of fun to watch, and I give it a pretty solid A. I think it's an excellent action film from the 90s, amongst the definitely, I'd say maybe amongst the top 5 action movies from the 90s for sure.
Oh, yeah. In fact, Tarantino has this on his top 20 action films since 92. He has a since 92 action film.
This is Jan de Bont's only movie, huh? The only successful movie?
Might be his only highly successful movie, I would think. Let me see.
I give it an A.
Yeah, it's an A.
Solid direction.
Minority producer.
He was a producer. He's only directed 5 films.
Speed.
He directed Twister. Twister was a big hit.
He did?
And they did talk him into come back for Speed 2.
Oh, yeah. Twister was a fun movie, too.
And he directed
Tomb Raider.
He directed the second Tomb Raider.
Oh. Yeah, Equilibrium and...
He was a producer for Equilibrium.
Oh, wait. He directed Lara Croft.
Yeah, he only directed 5 films, so he was a producer in some. He seems to work more commonly as a cinematographer now. He hasn't done a whole lot of work in the last 10 years. So. Yep.
He was actually attached to do the to adapt the Godzilla movie before Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich was attached to it. Mm-hmm. And he actually had they had a script ready, and they had all the pre-production and stuff ready to go. And the premise was like Godzilla fights a giant devil monster in the American adaptation. And yeah. But anyways,
interesting.
little fun nugget for you.
Fun nugget.
Yeah. He was attached to do a Godzilla movie.
I mean, he only made 5 films, but Speed is good, Twister is good. The Tomb Raider movies are what they are.
They're okay.
The first one was good. I liked it.
Entertaining. They are what they are. Hey, I didn't really hate the one that came out a couple years ago with what's her name, Alicia Vikander or whatever. It was actually a pretty fun action movie. Yeah, it wasn't bad. So, actually, I picked up a copy of it at Half Price Books for like $1 on Blu-ray. I was like, for $1 on Blu-ray, I was like, I'll buy it. I enjoyed it enough to buy it for $1.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But yeah, man, Speed. So we all gave it as A's, A straight across, AAA. That's pretty good.
AAA.
It is on HBO Max if you have not watched Speed in a while, so check it out. So that leads us to our top 5, man. Keanu Reeves has had quite a great career, and he's kicking ass with the John Wick films, and he's got the Matrix Resurrection coming out in December. It looks really cool, and he's had some great roles, man. So we thought we would look back at the top 5 Keanu Reeves roles that he's played, or his characters he's played over the years, and who wants to go first? I have a feeling these lists are going to be very similar because I felt when I was doing the list that he had basically 5 great characters, and I didn't see any more than 5 great characters.
I saw like 6. I think 6. I wish there was a top 6 because, but my honorable mention probably obvious, but I guess I'll go first. I'm talking about it. Honorable mention, I'll say, his role in the Bill and Ted films. I have that.
Now
just
I'm really
outside
curious what you have that's better than Ted. I mean, I don't have Ted at number 1, but
yeah,
I'm really curious.
I tried to put it at 5, but I have Kevin Lomax with Devil's Advocate. I really like his character in that film. I watched that movie a bunch. I just think
You just watched it for what's her name's titties.
No, I mean they're okay. They're okay. Charlize is in it. I think she might show hers. I think.
Well, you can see hers in 2 Days in the Valley also.
Oh yeah, but I like his character in there. His Alabama lawyer or whatever, Louisiana lawyer. He's a Louisiana lawyer.
I don't know. I guess I remember seeing that movie and just not. I went with somebody to see that in theaters. I remember walking out just not really liking it, and I don't think I've ever watched it again since. Just wasn't my bag,
I like
baby.
Pacino in that movie. Oh yeah,
well, I mean,
was it your bag?
Pacino's Pacino, man. Pacino can lick dirt and be good at a film, so that's not saying much,
He tells that guy on the subway station that some guy's gonna fuck his woman in the ass, and he better go home and catch him in the act.
The things matter.
I'll go next. Number 5 for me. I am going with. I'm going to go with his small role in Parenthood, where he plays a boyfriend who is a racer to one of the girls, and I forgot his name. So he had a little drag race crash and stuff like that. But it's like, hey, it's Bill. Anyway, from Parenthood. I don't even know his character.
Sad, man. Oh, at number 5, I have Jack from this movie, man. Just a solid LA cop who cares about people and doing the right thing and saving the day. And watching him flirt with Sandra Bullock throughout the film is pretty awesome. That makes me jealous because I wanted to flirt with Sandra Bullock.
Number 4, Matt.
I've got Johnny Utah with Point Break. He's surfing and going undercover, and he's got Busey, by his side. Cool stuff.
My number 4 is Jack Traver from Speed. So we already talked enough about it.
My number 4 is also Johnny Utah, because as much as I like John Wick and the Matrix films, man, Point Break is the movie that, besides Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Point Break is a movie that made me a Keanu Reeves fan. I still like that movie a lot. Still one of my favorite crime movies. I just love the dynamic in that movie between Swayze and Reeves. I think they're awesome in it. And just an all-time great character that Keanu Reeves played in Johnny Utah.
Number 3, Matt.
3, I've got character from this film, Jack Traven. I really like him in this film, and I saw it at a young age, so it's probably just made a bigger impression on me. You remember a lot of stuff from your childhood, so Jack Traven.
My number 3 is that he played that lawyer dude in Devil's Advocate.
Yeah.
Are you making this shit up as you go?
He put Kevin Lomax higher than me.
I just forgot his name.
Yeah, Kevin Lomax. He made that movie instead of Speed 2. That's what he made instead of Speed 2.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And number 3, man, the movie that I first ever saw him in, Ted Theodore Logan. I mean, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was one of my childhood films, and you guys say I don't like comedies. Well, it's kind of a comedy sci-fi adventure, bitches.
So great.
Dude, yes. The movie, it's one of those 80s films that still holds up well. I mean, yeah, there might be some choice words in the film that aren't necessarily politically correct today, like when Bill and Ted hug each other and they say "fag." I mean, I laugh. I think it's funny, but I know nowadays you're not supposed to say that in a movie. But fuck, people, get a life. It's just a joke. But Ted Theodore Logan, man, such a great character, and I even enjoyed rewatching him in Bill and Ted Face the Music last year. I mean, yeah, it was kind of a dumb sequel, but it was cool seeing him play that character again, an older version. Did you guys ever watch that?
No.
I still have it. And
I was waiting for a bundle discount.
It is right now on Vudu. I want to say it's either $10 or $15 on Vudu. All three.
It's like you also need to see Tenet also, and that's on HBO Max.
I tried to watch it, but I just gave up on it.
Yeah.
My number two. Go ahead.
Oh,
Matt.
my number two. Sorry. I guess we're going to find out what 1 and 2 is in one shot, basically. Number 2 for me is John Wick. For me, I was one of those people that discounted this role as another throwaway film, like Man of Tai Chi or 47 Ronin, and just didn't think it was going to be that good. But I was late to the game, and glad I was wrong. And man, he's been awesome in that role. Love the John Wick films, but he's still the number 2 role for me, John Wick.
Cool. Number 2 for me is actually a 2-way tie. Neo and Bill Esquire. So it's Ted
Theodore Logan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm getting names wrong. Neo from The Matrix and Ted Theodore Logan. Those are my number 2. 2-way tie.
2-way.
I have Neo at number 2 also, and only because as much as I liked The Matrix, I felt that the sequels were a little forced. The first one plays very well as a single film, but it made a lot of money, so they made sequels. And I might be throwing a bone to people, but in December we'll probably be discussing the sequels before the new one comes out. And I don't hate the sequels, but I always felt like they weren't necessary. So to me, Neo's a really cool character, but he wasn't fleshed out over 3 films, I felt, as much as the other character that I picked at number 1 has been so far in 3 films. So I'm guessing, Matt, your Neo is number 1.
Yeah.
So
it was tough for me to decide because, like you said, I was like, man, the only thing you can say about John Wick that you can't say about Neo is the consistency between the films. John Wick has been a consistent character, consistently good character, and possibly growing and advancing character a little bit for Keanu. And, Neo, I feel like, he got to a certain point.
It's the iconic character.
Yeah, he through the one film, I feel like it's really strong. You like that character. And for me, it was just that first film that did it to me. Him learning, I know Kung Fu, the fight with Morpheus, the shootout, and then whenever he finally...
Can I finish my part now?
Yeah, man. Just awesome. So, Neo.
Dang. No, I'm joking.
Jeez.
Number 1 is John Constantine. This is one of the few roles where I like this movie. God damn it!
Okay.
I like it too, but wait, you didn't even put John Wick on your top 5? That's because you made up your top 5.
I know everyone picks John Wick, so I'm going my own way. Damn it!
Yeah.
So, number 1, John Constantine. Yes, and John Wick too. The 2 Johns tied at number 1. I wasn't even finished yet. You just kept interrupting me.
You're fucking full of shit. Trying to go against the trend and failing over here, man.
Whatever. But anyways, John Constantine is like one of the few Keanu roles where he is like the master of his, profession. He's not going in as an apprentice or someone who's learning his role in the movie world that he's in. He's like, he knows what his shit, and he knows what to do as a character, So, and yeah, fantastic character, and great movie, I'd say. And I know it's not based on the comic book, but that much, but it's good enough for me. Number 1,
pretty close though.
Yeah, still cool. He makes a portal to hell with a cat.
Really, the only Well, the only difference they made is that he's not British in the film, and that was on the producers, because Keanu Reeves was all for learning. It's like, I'll learn the dialect, and they're like, no, it's okay, just use your voice. So Keanu, was
we
just
remember Dracula.
He comes in there, he's like, yeah, baby.
And
watched it.
Well, my number one is John Wick, which is one of the coolest characters created in film in the last few years, and he wins out over Neo for me. Like you said, Matt, just consistency. He's a fleshed out character. They took part 1, they fleshed out the world of John Wick even more in part 2, even though more so in part 3, and highly looking forward to part 4 next year and seeing where they go with this series. But at the same time, I'm hoping they end it after 4 or 5 films. I don't want this to be one of those series that goes on and on forever. It scares me when I read things with the director where he says, we can make 7 or 8 of these. I'm like, please don't. Let's not ruin a good thing.
Yeah.
You know? Little mini saga, 4 or 5 films, that's enough. But John Wick is my number one Keanu Reeves role.
He does have some cool lore, too, you know? It's like, he once killed a man with a pencil. He's a man of obedience.
And then you get to see some of that lore. You know, he kills a guy with a pencil. You get to see the whole hierarchy of how the Assassin's Guild works and everything. So
he once used his hair to floss a dolphin's teeth.
They never said that. Let's do some news.
Okay.
Not a great week for news, but there's a few things to talk about. Do you guys feel like, everyone talks about The Lost Boys as being like this immortal vampire film or whatever, and they're going to do a remake of it, and people are already up in arms about it. I don't get that, man. Like, I think The Lost Boys is okay. I don't hold it to some high regard. I'm like, if they remake it, whatever. Fuck it, I don't care.
It's a
never
classic.
seen it. Don't plan on watching it, and I'm proud that I've never seen it.
Thank you, Long.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I get that it's a 80s classic, but I don't hold it to some high regard. So they remake it, whatever, I mean, to me, when they made those really bad direct-to-video sequels, don't they already kind of fuck up the legacy of a film when they do that anyway?
Yeah.
You know? So, Anthony Mackie, man, this guy went from being Eminem's rap partner, or went up against him in 8 Mile, to being the Falcon and the new Captain America. Now he's going to have a TV show, man. They're going to adapt Twisted Metal, the popular video game series, to television. And Mackie's going to be in this. And, I'm all for Anthony Mackie's success, but how do you take crashing cars games and turn into a television show? I'm trying to figure out.
I wonder if he's going to play Axel. The guy.
I'm not familiar enough with the games to really. I'm like, how does that work though? I'm like, I don't know. It's just a car crashing video game.
Oh, I guarantee it's going to be like if they made it a Mortal Kombat style thing, where you bring your rig and you battle people in the ring in a free for all or 1-against-1 kind of thing, and you've got them and Spectre, and you've got I forget the clown car's name. It's been a while for me. I remember a couple names.
I've seen imagery from it, and I think I played it before. I'm just not familiar with the lore of the game, so I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it can be done. It's hey, we've seen Fast and the Furious stuff, so it's like this stuff will be not as ridiculous, compared to Fast 9.
Have you guys ever seen the Disney movie Fly the Navigator?
Yes.
No.
Old, pretty okay film. They're doing a remake of this for Disney Plus, and Bryce Dallas Howard is going to redirect it. And
compliance.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I feel like there was rumors about a year ago that her name was up to do a Star Wars film, because she directed a couple episodes of Mandalorian. And I almost feel like this is a test for her. Like Disney's like, hey, go make this for us and we'll see how you do. Does that, I don't know. I can't help but think that. Because, do we really need to remake Fly the Navigator? There's nothing wrong with the original, So it's like.
Yes, there was. It doesn't hold up, that's for sure.
Oh, I know. But I mean,
and there's a reason why no one talks about it anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying it's like a great film or anything. I just.
No. Yeah.
But we'll see. What are you going to say, Long? Nothing?
Oh, I was about to ask, do you have He-Man in there in the news?
Why?
They showed the trailer to another He-Man show.
Oh, yeah.
I guess people are mad because it's too kid-friendly.
Oh yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. I think I mentioned that trailer. And it hit Netflix a couple days ago. Yeah, it's more of a kid-friendly version. But newsflash, people, He-Man was made for kids. The original
series. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
this is true.
That's why I don't complaining about that.
These grown-ups that talk about like the Transformers films or the Ninja Turtles, like, oh, they ruined my childhood. I'm like, do you realize this shit was made for kids? You're 30-something years old now. Grow up, look at it differently. You know?
Oh, man. Paul Rubens was in Flight of the Navigator. Didn't know that.
Must being young. Lastly, the last thing I have is, Netflix has been buying up properties. They're going to make the Sandman, which kind of excited for that when that comes out. And they're going to make a television series of Matt Wagner's Grendel, which was a very popular kind of underground comic in the 90s. He crossed over into a few things, and I don't know a lot about Grendel, but I know that it's been kind of a development hell for a while. There's been several studios that talk about making movies and television series of it, and looks like Netflix finally got a hold of it, and it's going to do a TV version of Grendel, if there's any Grendel fans out there. So,
I'd rather them do a Judge Dredd TV show than this, second-rate, third. Well, okay, Grendel. Yeah. Well, Grendel was done by who?
Matt Wagner.
What was the name of the?
Matt Wagner.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually,
well, the way I feel about that long, it's like, you have all these IPs out there. And I would imagine that sitting in these offices that they're going after everything. So I'm sure, I would think Netflix did probably call and say, hey, can we do Dredd? Hey, can we do Why the Last Man? Which I need to watch that. I haven't watched it yet. Or can we do this? And it's just a bidding war going on that we don't see every day. Especially comic properties. They're so fucking hot right now with the MCU. And DC is finally starting to get a lot of success with their TV shows and the Snyder Cut and everything. And I would imagine every property that we've read out there as comic books or fans of, that it's someone's trying to shop it. And it could all happen eventually or never happen at all. So like you said, maybe we'll get that Dredd TV show one day. And, there's certainly plenty of IPs.
Interesting universe for sure.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, there's a lot of stuff I would love to see adapted, and I think Brian K. Vaughan's other comic series, not Why the Last Man, but I think Saga would be a hell of a comic to adapt. It's weird as fuck, but there's something cool about that makes it would be cool to adapt. So, there's lots of good stuff. So we'll see.
Are you guys going to check out Why the Last Man?
I do plan on it. I forgot that it was out this week, and I want to watch it. I know it's on Hulu. You can watch it on there. But I definitely want to check. I've heard good things about it so far. I've heard it sticks pretty close to the comics and that it's pretty well done. So,
is that the one where like only women are left and there's like one man?
Yeah. And it's been some years since I've read the book, so I'm not, my memory's not fully retained of them, but so I can't judge it whether it's just like the books or not. But it's one of those things I imagine when I start watching, I'll remember stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, that was in the book or that, because I have read the entire series. So looking forward to it. So I'm definitely going to check that out. But before we get out of here, let's preview next week's film. We got a couple weeks to go before we start our Halloween month where we do Halloween horrors. But next week, we're going to talk a movie that, this is a way better film than it was given credit for. And I think it just kind of came out the wrong time in theaters with a Sword and Sandal epic fatigue was kind of setting in with audiences. So this movie was put out as a summer blockbuster film, but just didn't find a footing at the box office. But it's found a home through its director's cut and through home video and digital services and stuff. And that is Wolfgang Petersen's epic Troy.
I've fought many wars in my time. Some are fought for land, some for power, some for glory. I suppose fighting for love makes more sense than all the rest. Do you love her?
Father, you are a great king because you love all of Troy. That is the way I love Helen.
I want her back. Will you go to war with me, brother?
They're coming for me. The wind is bringing them closer.
This'll be the greatest war the world has ever seen. We need the greatest warrior.
Achilles can't be controlled.
Be careful, King of Kings. First, you need the victory.
I won't ask you to fight my war. You already have. The loser will burn before nightfall.
Immortality! Take it! It's yours!
No son of Troy will ever submit to a foreign ruler.
Then every son of Troy shall die.
Now you know who you're fighting.
Is there no one else? Is there no one else?
And, I saw this in theaters, man. I thought it was a badass movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Brad Pitt's excellent in it. Eric Bana. It's got a really great cast. Orlando Bloom is in it. So it's been a few years since I've watched this. So I'm kind of looking forward to watching it. And at the same time, also trying to figure out how I'm going to find time to watch a 3-hour movie this week. But I'll figure it out somehow.
The Wolfgang Peterson movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I did say that. What is beeping?
It's my damn dishwasher. It got done, and it's like,
you're a damn dishwasher.
My old one didn't do that. I need to figure out how to turn the chime off. It's like, okay, you're done. I'll figure it out later.
You got a hammer? You got a hammer? Just go hammer.
I know, right?
Actually, I thought it was like my watch, but I'm like, I don't see where my watch isn't here at my desk. I'm like, I don't know. But all right. Well, that's it for this week, Troy on next week's show. That'll be a fun one to watch. And just continue to be safe out there. Go to the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And I will give Matt one more shout out to go back and listen to his birthday episode last week with Austin Powers, because I know Matt enjoyed making me watch that crap.
Yeah.
But until next week, this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
This is Long, the speed demon.
Until next time, pop quiz. We didn't even do one pop quiz hot shot joke in the whole fucking episode. Pop quiz hot shot. What do? You just go there and do it.
Yes.